Mexican legend and famous boxer Juan Manuel Marquez says even after the Canelo Kovalev fight, he still places Canelo in at number 3. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. It does help the channel. Now, Juan Manuel Marquez, Mexican boxing legend and just overall boxing legend. He was at the Canelo fight, and I've been wanting to make a video about this. He says he had the fight with Canelo 96-94. Sometimes, this is a direct quote, sometimes styles make the fights. I think Kovalev landed some power shots, but Canelo used his counterpunching very well, and Kovalev was scared to get countered. I think that was the difference. He goes on to say, yes, Canelo, he proved something very special for boxing for Mexican people. He needs to keep training and work hard. He has demonstrated that he is very good. He moved up in weight and won another fight, which is very important. But there's also Terence Crawford at number 1 pound for pound. And we have Vasily Lomachenko, who is right up there. In my point of view, I have Canelo in at number 3 pound for pound. He won a great fight, but look, Crawford hasn't ever lost, and look what Lomachenko has done. We have to take that into account. So those are the thoughts of Juan Manuel Marquez. Obviously a Hall of Fame career. You know, he's had sensational moments in his career. Juan Diaz, Baby Bull win, and most probably notably the Manny Pacquiao 4th fight, where it was a back and forth epic tug of war battle, and then out of nowhere he is able to, in the closing seconds, knock Pacquiao out, make him plank and face plant and that kind of thing. So that's his opinion on it. He has Canelo in at number 3. Me personally, I have Crawford number 1, and I would definitely put Canelo over Lomachenko, just because Lomachenko has 15 fights and a loss, and Canelo has 50 plus fights and a loss. So I don't agree with Marquez there. I think Canelo has a better resume, and he's younger than Lomachenko, and he has more fights. Now, this is where it gets tricky. I don't even really do the pound for pound list, but the reason I would place, like Marquez, place Terence Crawford above Canelo is simply, when I'm thinking of pound for pound, I'm thinking of whose style translates to, you know, if you could genetically engineer a fighter and put kind of that skill set, what they embody, into a heavyweight body, a cruiserweight body, light heavyweight body, whatever division, you know, who would have the most success. And from a skill point of view, I think it's Terence Crawford. The other thing where, you know, it gets subjective, where some people might put Canelo number 1 pound for pound, is because Canelo is a popular fighter. He's able to pick and choose his opponents. So it then becomes easier to have a better resume when you have that luxury. In my honest opinion, from interviewing Terence Crawford, covering several of his fights, even in Omaha and Vegas, I think Terence Crawford absolutely would fight all of his contemporaries. With Canelo, I'm not sure, because, you know, he could have fought Jermell Charlo at 54 when he was at Canelo weight at 155, and he didn't. Andrade was also a champion there, and he didn't fight them. You know, Terence Crawford, we've seen him eager to face the best. He moved up his first fight, fought a champion in Jeff Horn. Whether you like it or not, Jeff Horn was a champion who claimed to win in a victory over Pacquiao. It was a rough fight, close fight. I had Pacquiao winning. However, the judges didn't see it my way. Then they brought 5 judges in and rescored it, and they said Jeff Horn won. He was living like a champion. Crawford undisputed. That's another reason. I think Crawford has done something that we haven't seen. This is like, Crawford's just really old school, old fashioned. So from a skill point of view, you have to give and take. You can say, okay, Canelo has a better resume, but he also has more privilege, where he can fight whoever. And he also has stipulations. When I'm seeing Terence Crawford, to me, he's not having all the stipulations of a Saul Canelo Alvarez, rehydration clauses, weight clauses. If the guy's taller than Crawford, then the guy's taller than Crawford. If he's shorter, he's shorter. If he has punching power, there's no catch weights. I can't think of any fight like that, where I think Terence Crawford is an old school fighter, and he has that mean streak, that Ray Mercer type of mean streak in him, and Hagler, and he just, he's too competitive and he wants to scrap. So, it's going to be a back and forth for some people because Canelo is a good fighter, so there's going to be some give and take. Some people are just going to look at the resume and say, oh, he has a resume. But again, if Terence Crawford could handpick Errol Spence and Danny Garcia and all the PBC guys that he wants to fight, does anyone really believe that some, if not all, those fights would be made? Do you honestly think that Crawford? So you can't really use that against him, knowing the politics and the scope of boxing. I think Crawford has done very well for himself. He also has moved up, and one of the biggest things why I would rate Terence Crawford higher than Canelo is the mere fact that, in my opinion, Terence Crawford shows more separation against the best names. So when I look at the best names that he's fought, when he's fought Olympic gold medalists like Gamboa, Felix Diaz, he truly shows more separation. So I can understand why Juan Manuel Marquez feels this way. He just shows he's not getting help from judges' scorecards or nothing like that. So you got to factor as much data as you have into it. Crawford, all around skill for skill. I think like just look at Canelo. I mean, when Amir Khan was the smaller person, no rehydration clause, right? When Jacob Chavez and Rocky Fielding and Kovalev happen to be bigger than Canelo, there's a rehydration clause, and sometimes there's catch weights, and just depends on stuff like that. Like it becomes kind of abusive. So again, Canelo's still a good fighter, but that's why I think skill for skill, bar for bar. And, I know there's going to be a lot of lunacy in the comment section. People are going to say, oh, Crawford should move up to 160 and fight against Canelo or something, something bogus. But, you could say the same thing. Then why doesn't Canelo move up and fight Wilder? He said he wants to fight at cruiserweight. So, that's just emotional fan talk. We're not pitting the two against each other in that way. I'm just talking from a skill versus skill perspective. Crawford gets the job done, shows more separation. When he's in unifications with Ndongo, when he's in unifications with Victor Postal, guys who have actual attributes, height, can box well. People keep trying to clown Crawford's resume and stuff like that. The difference being is Crawford fought some good guys in different styles. It's just they don't have necessarily the novelty names. Like Victor Postal, he had already beaten Lucas Matisse by stoppage. He stopped Lucas Matisse, who was one of the kings of the 140-pound division. And Danny Garcia didn't even stop Matisse. You get what I'm saying? So you got to give credit to Crawford for shutting Postal out and make it, I don't know if Postal's really even been the same. And that's what happens when you fight Terence Crawford. Sometimes guys are just truly never the same. Felix Diaz, he lost again since the Crawford fight. Jeff Horn just got knocked out. You look at, just a ton of guys that Crawford fought. Derry Jean, I never really heard about him after the Crawford fight. So, Gamboa, some people, he's about to fight Tank, but, he had a bumpy road, and then he just kind of got back on a win streak. But it was looking rough for him for a minute. Some guys haven't really truly bounced back since the Crawford, and things like that. So that's the thoughts of Juan Manuel Marquez. I also gave you my thoughts. I think skillfully Terence Crawford is sharper, so I can see him at pound for pound. But some people would just go off pure resume. But like I said, it's all subjective, and it's going to be hard to quantify because the politics in boxing. It's not Crawford's fault that there's sides of the street and things like that, and promoters got their own agenda of what fights they need to make and want to make first, and A side, B side. The thing with Canelo is he's in a privileged position. He's in a privileged position where he can pick and choose really anyone in boxing outside of Mayweather, and he would virtually be the A side. He went up to Kovalev's division where Kovalev was the champion, and Kovalev walked out before him. Kovalev is the B side. So that just goes to show you the popularity of Canelo. However, I think people are kind of catching on to it. So the popularity seems to be fading a bit until he fights somebody that's more closer to his age, has a lot of momentum, less stipulations and things like that, you know. And I think ultimately over time, it's just Crawford's not in the same type of driver's seat as Canelo. But over time, I think people will see how good Crawford is once he gets the bigger names. It's just he's not in a position like Canelo where he's going to have to wait, you know, and wait for certain things to manifest more so than Canelo. So, you know, that's my thoughts. Marquez puts Canelo number 3. I do think Canelo should be ahead of Lomachenko. You know, some people say Marquez is jealous of Canelo, all this weak stuff. But I think he has too many fights to be behind Lomachenko. You know, he has too many fights to be behind Lomachenko. Lomachenko's a good fighter, but that's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys have, like who you have for the top. There's a lot of, you know, it goes different ways. I put Beterbiev on the top 10, you know, in a way on the top 10 now. You know, we've got a lot of shifting. You know, realistically, this is going to sound weird to some people, but I could see Julian J. Rock Williams in the top 10. You know, people aren't even talking about this. So, you know, in my opinion, the top spots, they're rapidly shifting. We just got to see the fights. Once we see the fights, then we will really see who's who and know where to place. But since Mayweather retired, actually, let me say, after Mayweather retired and after Andre Ward retired, I don't think there's been anybody who could claim the number 1 spot as confidently as Mayweather when he was on top and Andre Ward, his successor. I really feel that way. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of good fighters, but I don't think, you know, it's boxing's fickle like this, you know, and I'll probably get into it on a live stream where I can answer questions and stuff like that. But you just got to look at it. People were saying, like, now people are saying Canelo's number 1 pound for pound, right? Because he beat Kovalev. But a lot of people thought Kovalev was done since the Ward fight, you know, the blueprint. Plus he lost twice. Plus he almost got stopped by Anthony Yarde. So, I mean, is that really the performance that makes him pound for pound? Yes, you give him some credit because he moved up in weight, but Kovalev definitely looked like a shell of his former self and was almost stopped in his previous fight with Anthony Yarde and had a short recovery time plus a rehydration clause. So, you know, is that really the performance that you would like to use that showed separation? I just feel like there's a lot of stipulations, and you know, when you look below the surface, there was, you know, a little bit more involved in that particular one. So I can't see how people made the jump off of the Kovalev fight. You get what I'm saying? I understand he traveled up in weight, but based on all things considered, you know, I don't think that was, I don't think it's weird. Like I said, the pound for pound list is weird because people were just saying that the Jacobs was a tough fight for him, and some people were saying that he lost the second Golovkin fight, which I don't agree with, but it was, you know, it was close towards the end. And now they're saying he's number 1 pound for pound because of Kovalev, who looked like he was almost out of there, like 1 or 2 punches away from being out of there versus Anthony Yarde. So I'm definitely rocking with Terence Crawford still as the number 1 pound for pound, just like the boy Juan Manuel Marquez. Let me know what you guys think. If you love what I'm doing, smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.